Steve Sherlock here for Franklin Matters, Franklin Public Radio, available anywhere, anytime on the internet, in your browser, WFPR.FM, and in the local Franklin, Mass. FM radio dial 102.9. Yeah, the dial, the thing with the knobs and the push buttons you can preset to 102.9. That's the number. Here virtually today with another candidate interview for our biennial election coming up November 4, 2025. Bob Dellorco, a candidate for town council, an incumbent candidate for town council. Bob, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you for all you do too, because I know it's all volunteer. We all know how that works.
Yes, we get the big bucks, and even when it's a
Yeah,
20% raise, it's 20%
yeah,
of
we get
nothing.
a lot of raises. So,
Indeed. So, for those who may not know who Bob Dellorco is, you can give them kind of your brief Franklin story, either your road here, although I think you've been a lifelong person here,
mm,
and life within Franklin and your involvement in the community here.
okay. Um, well, yeah, my family moved here in like 1908 from the old country, you know what I mean? So that's when my grandmother and grandfather came over, and they had seven kids, seven brothers and sisters. And they all stayed in Franklin except for my father when he married my mother. He had to move to Boston to Hyde Park. So that's where I was. That's where I went to school. That's
Hmm.
where I was. But um obviously all my cousins are still here. And I always came to Franklin, my whole life. My father would come here at least once during the week and at least once on the weekend. And obviously in the summer I spent a lot of time here, hanging, with my cousins. And I got to
Hmm.
know people there, so I got to know their friends and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So uh that was a very important part of my life. And then, I married my wife, Gigi, 35 years ago, and we started having a family and the school system in Boston isn't the best.
Hmm.
So it was time to find a place to go. And there really was no other place for me to go except because I'm very social. So I like to walk down the street and see people.
Sure.
So, and my family's here. So
Hmm.
when uh, my son was born, that's when we decided to move. I had my oldest uh, daughter I think she was 2.5. So
Hmm.
they're all they have no they don't they have no idea what it is outside of Franklin, you
Right.
know. And
Yeah.
and so it's very important for me to have conversations with people I know. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that meant a lot to me. So when I came here and built my house actually on my family's land, my aunt and they have a lot of land and one of the lots opened up. So I was lucky and fortunate to purchase it from them and
Hmm.
we built it from there.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got out here, I got involved because back in High Park, I was always involved with, coaching and, you know, uh, Mayor Menino and myself, we've been friends for a long time because my mother was friends with his mother, and you know how that goes, you know.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
so
Right.
so. But I as soon as I got here, I started coaching Little League with my cousin Albie with his son. So I started coaching Little League, and then as my son got older, I got involved with you know. I became vice president of Pop Warner for 5 years. I
Hmm.
ended up coaching baseball out here, CYO basketball,
Hmm.
girls basketball, and I was a 4-year coach at Franklin High, football coach with Coach Sidwell.
Hmm.
And then 20 years ago, they got me involved with the recreational committee. So I've been on the recreational committee for like 20, it's like around 20 years. I don't know exactly what it is, but it was before I was on the council. So,
Right.
and then we did we did a lot here. Also one of the most, I don't know, the biggest accomplishment I ever did was being a co-founder of the Safe Coalition. as
Mm,
as you know, that was a very, it was a very bad time when we started that.
right.
Of course, coach in high school, I think I lost like 4 kids in 2 months.
Ouch.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a very sad time. So that's
Hmm.
when I ended up calling Representative Roy, and that's when we had
The big
we got
meeting.
that big meeting at the high school.
Hmm.
And that's
Yep.
when, Jen came along and Jim Derrick,
Jumped up on stage at the end.
yeah, Jim Derrick, because Jeff said, I don't have time to do this and you don't have time to do this. So we got to try to pick somebody out.
Hmm.
And it was like a godsend that Jim had got up and spoke about his thing because I looked at Jeff and I said, he's the one. And he got, and of course he's taken it to another level and Jen has too. Jen was already on board, but
Right.
it was, it was awesome. But, and they do a great job. And, I just left the board of directors because, like you, Steve, I'm getting to retirement, so
Hmm.
trying to slow things down. I mean, I'll always be. They can always call me, and I will always do things, but
Right.
I can't be that involved.
Hmm.
If they need me to call the people that I got the fundraiser, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I could do.
Hmm.
And I started joining a lot of societies. I transferred my Knights of Columbus membership from Hyde Park to Franklin. And then I became, I've been the vice president of St. Anthony Society for, oh Christ, it got to be 10 years anyway.
Hmm.
And that's I never knew that it's one of the oldest societies around. It's like 110 years old.
Really?
Yeah, because unfortunately, my grandfather was a secretary. And I looked at the book and I saw his name signed, but I can't read nothing else because he wrote everything in Italian and I can't understand it.
Translation
Unfortunately.
opportunity
So,
there. Yeah.
yeah. But Franklin's been great. I obviously love it. It's my town. It's where it's where I'm gonna, I tease everybody on the council. I said I bought my next house in Franklin, but it's at St. Mary's Cemetery on Beaver Street. You remember
Hmm.
that?
Yeah.
So
Your
so
final resting place.
my final resting place,
Yep.
all three, I had 3 children, all went to Franklin Public Schools, got a great education, which is what drove us here in the first place. And actually, two of them are still in town, and my son isn't living he's living in Tampa for work, but his main house is Franklin. But
Hmm.
and my youngest daughter is getting married in June, and she already bought a house on Oak Street, so I don't think they're going anywhere.
Oh, it doesn't sound like it. No, no. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And
Hmm.
like I said, it was an easy transition for me because I knew all my cousins' friends. I knew,
Hmm.
actually Larry Benedetto was the chief at the time, and I saw him, and he happened to be really close with my cousin Tommy, and he said, "Listen, there's too many Dellorcos moving back in town. You can't come back." But I was just, yeah,
Stop at the line. Yeah.
yeah, the line's done," he said. But but outside of that, I mean, it's been a great experience. I was nervous, but it was great. So, and I
Hmm.
love this town. Who can't? We
Right.
do so many good things.
Yeah. No,
Um,
we've been here 30 years and yeah,
yeah.
I'll be here for a while.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I work at Massport, obviously, um, until I retire in the next few months. Um, but people that I work with come to Franklin for a sporting event, and like they go
Mm.
to high school, and they'll come into me and they go, "Geez," they go, "Your high school's like a college campus." I mean, so it makes you feel good because we were all involved with
Hmm.
that at that time, Steve.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We all worked hard for that, and that was a great accomplishment. And the fields are unbelievable. Every time somebody comes and they play sports or they do something, and they say, "Geez, this the fields are unbelievable. It's
Hmm.
beautiful." Which makes you proud, you know.
Yep,
There's no doubt about
definitely.
that, you know. So
Yep,
that's my road.
that's your road. Yeah, and then since you like talking to people and meeting people and discussing, et cetera, civil discourse, as you're aware, is certainly a key component of
Oh yeah,
our
yeah,
form of government. And unfortunately, the political party divide, more on the national level, unfortunately, is still creating some
yeah.
of that divide here amongst us locals.
Hmm.
Um, but we're fortunate, at least, that in this biennial election, it's a local election, there's no party affiliation associated with it. We're all neighbors. Party doesn't matter, but we still have to have a civil discourse. So,
Yeah.
what else would you do or could you do to help bridge that divide?
Well, I know they say it's the last few elections. I really did think that it kind of went partisan, like people, and it shouldn't, because Franklin's Franklin. Franklin, and like you said, it's all one. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, we're all one. You know, from my coaching years, best team might not have the best players. You know what I mean? But they work good together. And
Hmm.
I found that on a lot of teams. They could be the most talented team in the world, but they're selfish or whatever. But you get these other teams that work great together. They're unbelievable. They're easy to coach. And that's what I think. And I do think that transparency has to come, and explain things in plain language, easy to understand for everybody. And
Right.
that will open up the doors, I believe, for a lot of conversations that can turn really good. And you got to reiterate that the town council is not partisan. It isn't partisan, and we're all in it together. I don't care if somebody has a good idea that I'm not friends with, or I don't, not that I'm friends with everybody. And you know me, Steve. I'll talk to you. So, but if if there's somebody there that I don't even know, but comes up with a good idea, who cares? It's a good idea. That's all I
Hmm.
care,
Right.
And I try to say that a lot, and so I just definitely agree that in if you agree to disagree, it actually makes it a healthy society. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Yeah.
don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, but let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
That type of stuff is what I like,
Right.
and I do believe that, I think the transparency is coming. I think especially between us and the school committee. I,
Hmm.
I think I think that definitely has to happen to make everything work together. And I
Hmm.
think Chairman Dave Callahan and the rest of them, we're all starting to come on board, to work together, and
Hmm.
that's a key. That
Yeah.
is a total key, and I hope that, and it's going to have to definitely be a key this time because we're going into bad times. So we can't fight. We got to stay together and work
Hmm.
together and get things done for the citizens of Franklin. You know,
Right.
yeah, I agree, and I know you do too. So, but
So the last of the three questions that everybody gets gives you a chance to tout what experience or background will help you serve in this particular role, or what do you bring to the table that helps set you apart from the others that are competing for this role? Or another variation on that is how would it help you actually coordinate and collaborate with those who end up on the role?
um, sure, that's a great question. I think my greatest experience is um if you remember, Stephen, you will remember, when we first got on, how the police department and the fire department unions were horrible. They
Hmm.
just weren't working together.
Right.
And Representative Jones, God rest Councilor Bazzani, uh, um, and Tommy, we were up. at that firehouse all the time trying to negotiate things, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
my union experience, I think, helped bring the DPW, the police, fire. Unfortunately, I'm not involved with the teachers union at all, but
Hmm.
I think my experience there, bringing them together between management and the union, I we don't get any phone calls anymore about that at
Hmm.
all. They seem to negotiate, and I think hiring the TJ and Jim were the best hires, and because they can work with people. Again, they can work with these people, and there's not a fight going on.
Hmm.
And with my negotiations, they come up, and um, I can work both sides, and I think that's one of my biggest attributes, if you want to say it. I think I can
Hmm.
work both sides and help get everything going through. And working with Brutus on the DPW, he calls me an awful lot because, of my Massport experience with the vehicles and
Yeah,
stuff,
some of the
like
equipment stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the heavy equipment stuff and Jim with the fire department. I said, Jim, whatever you do, don't buy a Rosenbauer, please. Just don't. I'm having so much trouble with them. Please, just don't do it. And he and
Yeah.
he, and he agreed. So I think that helps. And you know, being friends with Mayor Menino, he always he always told me this when I was saying, "Oh, someday I might sit in your seat," and he always said, "Listen, if you're sitting in this seat, people are going to come to you all the time. They're going to ask you for favor. They're going to ask you to do things. Some things you can do, some things you can't do. But one thing you do is always make sure you call them back and tell them the reason why you can't do it or the reason why you can." He goes, "That's the best politician you can ever have."
Hmm.
And I think I pretty much do that. I'm not because I'm working so much and I think when I retire, I'll be a much better councilman, to be honest with you.
You'll have
I'm
more
gonna be,
time.
yeah, I'll have more time to do things. But one of the ladies down the senior center, she said to me, she said, "I sent you a message on Facebook." I said, "Gee," I said, "I'm sorry, Laurie," and I said, I'm sorry," and I said, she goes, "Well, why didn't you answer me?" I said, "Because I didn't see it," and she said. I said, "Laurie, why do I put my cell phone on the website? You've known me for 20 years." I
Mm.
said, "Call me. Will you please call me? If I don't answer,
Hmm.
leave a message. I'll get that, you know?"
Hmm.
So she said, "You're right." She goes, and it was something stupid. But, and I think my relationship with, Representative Roy's, the congressman, and even the state senators, that helps us because we're
Hmm.
going to need them to try to get us as much money as we possibly can. And I
Hmm.
know it's going to be hard for them too, but if they're in our corner, I'll feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But who
Better in
knows
our
what the future?
better in our corner than not.
Yeah, I don't know what the future brings. I really don't. And I'm going to be honest with you. Who knows? You know?
Mm.
But and of course, being a council for 14 years, if I didn't learn anything, Steve, I shouldn't be on the council. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You
Right.
know what I said it's just, it's hard when you first get on because you're learning. You really are. And I gotta thank I really have to thank Jeff Nutting for he did bring me along a long way. If I had any questions, he brought me down. He did teach me a lot. So
Hmm.
I'm always thankful for that. So um so that's my experience. I'm ready to go. Just call me.
Hmm.
You know.
Sure. Sounds good.
Oh.
So the next set of questions is certainly council specific, and as you're well aware, one of the key responsibilities of the council is to
Yeah.
hire and provide oversight for the town administrator and his or her team. I think
Hmm.
you've already alluded to some of that anyway, but
Yeah.
while you can serve as an escalation point for the town folk, that does not include micromanaging a particular department or operation. Do you agree or disagree? And please
No, I
explain.
agree. Micromanagement for somebody who was micromanaged, who as a supervisor, I was micromanaged by the higher ups,
Hmm.
and it is. it is the worst environment ever to
Mm,
micromanage. You know what I mean? It's because you can't do your job. You can't help people. You can't do anything. If something is wrong and we find out that it's wrong, then okay, then we can work with that. But to
mm,
micromanage, we hire these people. We hire the town administrator, the DPW, that if you don't trust them, then why did you hire them?
mm,
Right? I mean,
right.
why did you hire them? So let them do their job. I'm big on letting them do their job and helping them in any way I can to make everything smooth, a smooth rotation on anything. But micromanager is for somebody that has been micromanaged, it's really not a healthy environment at all. I was never so happy to not do that anymore, not get involved with that anymore.
Hmm.
I see it uh, where I am now. My boss does not micromanage. He's like, You guys handle that. You got a problem? Come on out. Come on over here." My superintendent, he'll say, "Come over here. If you have a problem, then okay." And we've had a couple problems, but he handled it the right way. When he needed him to come in, he came in and he did
Hmm.
his job. That's
Yeah.
all I can ask for.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what we have to do with all our guys, with all our, department heads and everything like that. So.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I am. And the transparency between the TA and the chief and the both chiefs and Chuck is going to be a great chief. Jim's leaving and he brought Chuck right along. And going back to the union days, Chuck was a union guy when I
Hmm.
was involved, you know. And so I think he's going to be a great. I mean, Jim is a great chief. He'll be a great chief because he came up to the ranks and he saw both ways.
Hmm.
So he knows how to handle both ways, and he knows, you know, that we can be in his, corner. If there's transparency, he'll have it, And TJ is the same way. TJ, you can call TJ and ask him the stupidest question, and he'll give you an answer. Because I,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but but outside of that, that's what I think of micromanagement. If you get my drift.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I do. Yes.
Yeah.
So one of your key responsibilities certainly is approving the annual budget, which sets the priorities for how the town of Franklin operates. And so, as we talked a little bit before, we're faced with fiscal challenges for the next several years, at least based on the forecasts. And I don't see any magic happening, unfortunately. So,
No.
what do you think are the financial priorities that we need to address? And then there's two kind of additional pieces. And if you need a reminder as we go through that, we can certainly do that. But
Yeah.
once you determine what the priorities are, or we determine, we meaning the town
Right.
council, et cetera, how do
Mhm.
you explain what needs to be done to the voters and residents? That's part one. And then I think you addressed kind of the relationship with the school committee and how would you help this community understand the separation of the roles between the council and the school committee? So three
So we're
three
gonna handle,
aspects there.
yeah. So we got three aspects there. So we're gonna go with what, the financial one first?
Financial one first. Yep.
Yeah. So with times that are tough, and I've said this obviously in the last 14 years a lot, but police, fire, DPW roads, and schools have to be our top, have to be our priority, but everything's our priority. I mean, everything runs into everything. So, you, long-term financial stability, responsibility, use of stability funds plan for multiple years, we have to anticipate cost increase. And I hate to say it, but sometimes now we're going to have to live between our means. I hate to say, but we we have to, I mean, we just got $276,000 in state fund that got cut. So we have to come up with some way to figure that out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So how do we, I mean, through economic development, but obviously how I feel about the apartment complexes, and obviously you know how I feel about that because I vote no against it. I do believe economic development is good. Like, I mean, the houses that are going to get built for people to live in I'm off at Washington Street is right in my backyard. So it's not that I care that it's in my backyard. It's just a good development. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So smart growth is the way to go. And obviously I don't think that the apartment complexes are good. And I've been very vocal about that. But I would like to if we could get some more commercial growth, Steve, and even if we
Yes.
if we have to even give them a little bit of a tax break to come in,
Hmm.
you know. Um, I we have done that in the past.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you know what I
been at
mean?
least three or four in my term,
Yeah,
most of which coincides with yours, where
yeah,
that TIF tax increment financing
yeah.
works.
It definitely works. I
Yeah.
mean, if we have to tweak it a little bit, I,
Hmm.
I think that's what we should do because that's huge,
Hmm.
for us to get in. So, um, I don't know. Yeah, that's about it for me. I mean, I don't think that we can. I think we have to have smart commercial growth and smart revenue growth. Hopefully, um, there are. I don't know how much land is left in front to build. I really don't. There really isn't that much left.
Certainly
You
not
know.
any big lots for development size, no.
Yeah,
But
we got one, behind us here that will be going up, but uh, so, but and as you know, and you've been in the room when I said it many a times about uh, affordable housing.
mm,
I mean, I know we agree on some of that. I mean, $2,400 a month for a one bedroom is just not affordable for any young kid to be paying. And
hmm.
it's kind of lousy, and it is what it is. But I mean, my oldest daughter's back home with her boyfriend just to save money to try to buy a house.
Sure.
They can't,
Yeah.
and I understand that. But I wish in the long run we could have more um the houses that we could sell through the town, and then we sell it for whatever it is, and then if they move out in 5 years they can only make 10% profit and stuff like that just to get
Right.
because the city I had four of my friends do that in the city, and that's how they
Hmm.
got their start.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just so expensive for these young kids, and I just don't know how to do that. I don't
Hmm.
know how to figure that out. But so that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you want to say.
Right. No, that's, yeah, financial priorities are what they are.
Yeah,
Then once you determine, uh, explaining to the voters and residents.
it's got to be in plain communication, and easy talking. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, is that a lot of the citizens just have to get more involved just to know the whole game. I
Hmm.
mean, how many people, I've been on the council 14 years. I mean, I can walk down BJ's and somebody will come up to me and say, "Are you still on the council?"
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
and I say, "Yeah," I said, "Haven't you seen any of the meetings?" I haven't watched any of the meetings. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
So I definitely think, and I talked to Ted about this a couple of times. I'm just trying to figure out a way we can get the town people more involved because
Hmm.
there's somebody out there with a good idea for something. I don't know what
Sure.
it is, but it's
Yeah.
it's going to be a good idea.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you can't just rely on the nine of us you know, to call us and say, "Oh, we got this idea, we got that idea." Come to some of the meetings, come into the budget subcommittees and voice your opinion.
Hmm.
You know, we walk away with something like that. You know what I mean? Because like you say, we're only volunteers Steve. And sometimes when you're working, like you said, when you're working, sometimes it's hard to catch up with everything. You're up here
Hmm.
12, 1 o'clock looking at the computer to see what the agenda is. And then you're up at how many times did I say it? I mean, midnight, 1 o'clock at the town council meeting, and I got to be up at 4.
Hmm.
So I get three
Right.
hours sleep and go to work.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's coming to an end, though. But
Yes.
so, and then
The last
what else
piece
do
was
we
on
want?
the separation of roles between council and school committee.
Well, obviously, the school committee, we we give them their budget, whatever it is. That's their money. They they do what they have to do with their money. We do the municipal side. We do, and but lately, I think the last couple of years, the last couple of terms, it's been. I mean, before that, Steve, as you well know, um, we didn't know where the money went. Were they
Mm.
buying extra pencils? Were they buying? We didn't know that. But now, between Lucas and Jamie and those guys, there's more transparency. We see what's going on. The school committee gets more involved with us. We get more involved with them, which needed to be done. I think it
Hmm.
needed to be done. Because if we get a question about schools, we can't answer it, and people don't trust us anymore. And the school committee gets a question about why can't we give them more money? They can't answer that either. So it makes us not look good. I think so. Now, the more the transparency that we have between both of us, I think I think helps a lot. You know what I mean.
Hmm.
Um, so that has to go forward because there are more people, you know, people getting involved. They want to know where the money goes because if services get cut, we're the first ones to get called, and the
Hmm.
school committee gets called. Obviously, we
Right.
get, and we don't want to cut services. I mean, this is the services we have in town are great. You know, uh, I mean, the public library is awesome. You know, it's sad to see that the first public lending library, I learned that it's a lending
Hmm.
library. Um, to cut that is, I mean, that's awful, And
It's one of
in
our
the senior,
firsts.
yeah, in the senior center, I mean, the work that they do down there is just unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, people come from other towns to come to our seniors. I
Yes.
mean, to figure that out. I
Yeah.
mean, you know what I mean? You don't have to figure that out too far. I mean, they do, both places do a great job. And for the most part, we all do a great job. They're all committed to the town to do what they have to do. So it's our job to try to get them a balanced budget.
Hmm.
Basically, is what we got to try to do in the best way we can. And if we have to cut something, then we have to have a workshop and understand what it is and get more people. Like I said earlier in the interview, um, on those subcommittee meetings, I was glad to sit in the audience because I kept to look around and say, gee, it's the same people showing up, the same people. And we did it in different areas of town.
Hmm.
So I thought it would be different, but it wasn't. So that's going to be one of my goals next. If I get elected again in November, it's going to be one of my goals to get to the community and get them out and get them more involved, because I
Hmm.
think that is going to be a real important role during the next 2 years.
Hmm.
I do, and
Sure.
I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm going to try to
Hmm.
figure it out, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be new people on the council, and hopefully they got great ideas. If I get elected, there'll be new people on the
Hmm.
council that maybe they come up with a great idea. Maybe they'll come up with an idea, and I go, "Oh, that's great. Let's do that." Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
you know what I mean. So that's my goal next. Along with the other stuff is you know, definitely one of my goals to get more people involved. I
Hmm.
had ideas. I just gotta, I just gotta put them together, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So,
And you'll
so
have some time, hopefully
yeah,
relatively soon, to do that. So, yeah.
yeah. So, so,
The last of the three questions is, do you support the goals and recommendations of the master plan? And if so, would you do as a council to help implement them? Or if not, why not?
well, I mean, there's a lot there.
There
Um,
is. Yeah.
there's a lot there. Do we think we can get all that done? I don't know. That's going to be a tough call.
Well, it's a 10-year plan anyway,
Yeah,
so yeah.
yeah, but I mean, still, there's a lot there. In the way the money's going, who knows, right?
Hmm.
So we don't know. I mean, hopefully something turns around and we can do we can do all of it, They worked really hard on that. I think smart growth is very is one of the most important part of the master plan. Affordable housing obviously is, but as I like, like Representative, they have to change the way affordable housing is. Just to help these kids, and I talk to people. I remember when me and my wife and I got married, we probably made 600 a week. We paid 250 a month for an apartment,
Hmm.
right? You know, uh, I mean, we could save money and could build a house. I had more money then than I get now.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making I took home 300 a week. She took home 300 a week. I mean, that, that was it. But again, and I talked this about union, and I know I'm going off track a little bit here, but you know, you got your health insurance paid for.
Hmm.
You got dental paid for free. You got eyeglasses paid for free. So when you don't get that anymore, so
Hmm.
you got to pay for that, so that's hot. That's one. I'm a little off track on that one, but I wanted to mention that, you know what I mean, before,
Hmm.
but you can figure that out. And you got to focus on the community, which I think is, and zoning updates to make the town look good is absolutely important. Uh, and again, and I'll say it again because this is one of my goals, is ongoing public input and accountability is very is very important. Sustainable growth that preserves natural open space. I love open space, but I don't know how much more I don't know how much more we can do. I mean, we did do good with the Schmidt Farm and the property down on Maple Street.
Hmm.
And it's beautiful. I was up at Smith's Farm, to be honest with you, like last week on Sunset, and
Hmm.
I was talking to John Smith, but I was where the barn was.
Oh, right.
What a beautiful setting it is up there. I
It
mean,
is.
it's beautiful up there, So that's I'm very happy that we got that done. That
Hmm.
was awesome. We worked a little bit on that, but we got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. All in
So
good time.
all in
Yeah.
good time. But
So we've covered the questions. Is there another topic that we haven't talked about that you want to raise, or just, kind of give, since we've got the opportunity with the voters and residents listening,
yeah,
just make your closing statement.
well, you know, uh, being 14 years on the council, most people know who I am, what I stand for. Um, and just what I'm trying to say is if I'm fortunate enough to get reelected, and if you're one of the new people in town, one of the old people in town, whatever you are, just my cell phone's on the website. Please just call me and I'll have coffee with you. I might be a favorite house guest too. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't care. I'll come to your house. But and I think that's what we're going to work on in the next time, so we can we can get more people involved, which I think we need to.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to retirement because I know I don't think I was a bad counselor by any means. I thought I did a good job being in retirement, but I know I can be a better counselor being retired because I'll be around more. I'll be at the
Mm,
senior center almost every day. I'll be around to talk to people. Um, I'm actually looking forward to that, to be honest with you, Steve. You know,
mm,
sometimes you miss things because you're working and you have to make a living, you know what
sure.
I mean? So,
Yep.
so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I'll probably still work delivering oil to every resident in Franklin that George has, but
Hmm.
you know, so, but outside of that, yeah, you have any questions, please just give me a call. Um, we're around all the time. You just call me. I'll do what I can for you. If I can't do it, I'll tell you I can't, but I'll try my best.
Hmm.
And that I can assure you that. So
Hmm.
hopefully you'll vote for me on November 4th and we'll be seeing a lot of Steve again and we'll work together to get more people together, Steve. That's all we're gonna
Hmm.
told you. That's my goal this year.
Sure. Definitely.
So,
Yep.
so
Yeah, well, the part of the video will have a slide that'll include your contact info, so your phone,
yeah,
email,
yeah.
phone priority. We'll put that in big bold.
Yeah, thank you. So, but
Good. Well,
all
thank you for
right.
taking time to share your insights and your story so that the residents and voters for Franklin can cast that informed vote on or before November 4th.
Uh,
And to the residents and listeners, thank you for doing so. And a quick reminder, we do this because Franklin matters.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.